Oh, you know what's funny? I'm correct to you, but because I'm recording from my own screen, I'm backwards.
I know. That's why I asked actually because I'm backwards to myself
Yeah.
too.
But it's funny, it comes across right to me. However, I have to actually invert it, otherwise it will record me backwards. So now I'm backwards to you, but it's going to record me in a proper
Right.
way.
Find
Fucking technology, man. I don't get it.
No, I technology hurts my brain.
Whenever I answer the phone, I'm like, hello.
What pissed you off?
It's a great argument to have.
I love my mom, but I think she's half crazy for doing that.
How dare you?
Do you work with your girlfriend, Mark? Or your wife? Mark?
I keep them separated. Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone. I'm like,
Wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart. Sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
Go.
Therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, but what do we know? Anyways, you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready for this?
Yeah, let's do this. Hey,
Oh.
everybody. I'm Mike.
And I'm Jeff.
This is What Do We Know?
What do we know? As you can see, there's only two of us today. Mark's out doing like Asian things or something like that. I don't know. He was playing with Godzilla according to Skype.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, he was definitely hanging out with Godzilla. So I don't even know where to start today. It sounds like we have a lot of stuff we want to talk about today.
A lot of stuff we definitely can talk about today. Today's a big day. Big day. I mean, it's been a big week, but it's a big day.
I'm curious to know if this big day is the same thing I was going to bring up.
I'm sure it is, and I'm going to click a button on the screen. You're not going to be able to see it, but I'm going to let the viewers know if it's right. You tell me what the big day is.
Well, the big day that I stumbled upon was we've officially been recording for over a year at this point.
That is not the big day that I have displayed on the screen. But
Oh. Our podcast trailer to this podcast aired June 10th of last year.
let me take this away for a minute, and we'll bring it back. June 10th last year was the podcast trailer. Well, this is episode 46.
Right. It was that was the
46 or
podcast
47?
trailer. It looks like our first actual episode was August 20th, but the trailer did air on June 10th, so it's kind of like a year in.
Yeah,
I'm kind of bummed that Mark isn't here to celebrate with us.
That is true. That is true. I mean, that is sad that Mark is not here to celebrate with us for our almost 1 year. But the thing is, as long as he's here for episode 52, that'll be huge because that'll be our official 1 year. But yeah, I guess this has been like the teaser's been out there for a long time. So that is a big day.
Yeah,
Well, yes.
Congratulations, Jeff.
Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you. And thank you to all you listeners who have stuck with us this whole time. I know it's been tough, I'm sure.
And Mark, fuck that guy.
Yeah, he ain't no good.
Is there any other big days today that you can think of? This is recent, like new stuff, big days, not like an anniversary that you missed or something like that.
Are you talking about the Supreme Court?
I am. That's the
Yes,
picture.
decision to make gay marriage legal. That's huge.
So I will tell you, I was driving to work this morning and I was hearing about it on the radio and I was like, awesome, great, oh, good for them. I'm very happy. Like, this is something that's been in the making for a long time. Should have happened a long time ago. Shouldn't have ever been an issue in my mind. Then you hear the interviews with people. Do you listen to the interviews with people?
So I'm on Twitter quite a bit. I enjoy Twitter just because you have such instant access to all these news sources and different things. And some of the Twitter posts, oh my goodness. It's like this day and age, number one, people should be smarter than this. Number two, if you're not smarter than that, you should know better than to go on Twitter and post crazy stuff I believe it was a football player or something. I almost feel bad like even saying this line and not having someone to attribute it to because it was so bad. But they said said something along the lines of gay marriage is just like pedophilia and incest.
Oh, good God. I what?
Yeah, exactly.
See,
Like, come on.
it's so funny because you hear all these interviews, you hear all these stories of all these people, and they're so happy that they can be recognized. And the big story that everybody knows is this all, or I can't say this all, a lot of it started from this one guy who he didn't get recognized, or his husband didn't get recognized on his death certificate. He didn't get recognized as the husband on the death certificate. So he kind of marched out to like, he wants to make a change. And you hear his story, and you're like, man, good for that guy. Like, that's awesome. And then you hear them start interviewing other people, and I heard some lady say she's at this rally, and in the background you can hear everybody going, "Yay! You know, woo, gay marriage!" You know, and they're all excited. And this lady is giving an interview about how she thinks it's institutionally wrong, and she said, and I couldn't. It baffled me that she said this. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as what I just heard from you, but it was just more of that. Is it a word? Is it a phrase to be able to say idiotism? I mean, just like, you're a moron. Because what she said is, I wrote it down next to me, and she says, I didn't write it all down. I wish I had written it all down. But she talked about the fact that this got made legal. It means the government was rendering thousands of voices of the American people irrelevant. And I'm like, okay. What you're trying to say is there's all these states that have voted down gay marriage already. So you're saying that their opinions don't matter is the thought process that you're going on with that statement. On the surface, you can make that statement. I can't say I agree with it, but you can make that statement all you want. I understand where you're coming from. However, the flip side of that statement is if you turned down gay marriage at the Supreme Court, are you not still rendering thousands of voices irrelevant? No matter which side of the spectrum you're on this one.
And I don't have hard and fast numbers, but I'm pretty certain that, well, I guess I'm not certain, but I feel like the majority of Americans are for gay marriage at this point.
I mean, if it made it up to the Supreme Court to get approved, I would guess the same. I would have to guess the same.
Yeah. I mean, I know the millennials are a huge generation. Like, if I'm not mistaken, the millennials are a bigger generation than the baby boomers at this point. And I feel like even some of the baby boomers are for this. So, you know, it stands to reason that the majority of Americans are for this. So when you want to throw it out there that they ignored the voice of the thousands on this, yeah, they listened to the voice of the millions.
Yeah, yeah. That's the flip side. But it's funny in a debate that's a yes or no answer. There's not a you can half get gay married. It's you can or you can't. Like that's all this comes down to. No matter what, if you have people fighting for it and people fighting against it, some voices you can claim are being rendered irrelevant, if that's the way you want to say it. No matter what, in an argument like that. So this is one of those statistical things where I can take any statistic I want and just turn it around to say however I want it to say, and that's what you're going to go on with an interview for. It's it's almost as bad to me as what is her name that was just caught getting the scholarships from the black college because they thought she was a black female.
Oh, the head of the NAACP or whatever.
What was her name?
Man. I can't remember, but I know exactly who you're talking about. The chapter in California or something like that.
Yeah, it's going to drive me nuts. I can't remember her name. I'm going to look it up real quick, see if it comes up, and I can't find it. Oh, well, either way, everybody knows who I'm talking about with this lady. And when she was in the interview and people asked her, like, did you lie on your applications and claim that you're black? And her response was, I identify with black people. What is that? In the wake of everything, you're trying to, her whole side of it is, I never said I was black. They thought I was black, so they gave me this money. I just didn't ever, correct them. Okay.
Rachel Doizel.
Yes. I can get behind that you just didn't correct them. They thought you were black. They gave you a black scholarship. You're going to a black college. Okay, maybe you thought you earned it because you didn't have to be black to get the scholarship or something like that. But when your response to the question is, I identify as black, you're kind of admitting fault. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't identify with blacks or being black, but you're admitting that you did something knowingly wrong.
So I will play devil's advocate.
Ooh, let's hear this.
We just not all that long ago as a nation wouldn't shut up about how Bruce Jenner is a champion for becoming his true self and becoming a woman. So, if this girl identified as black, why isn't she brave and, just doing what she knows in her heart she is?
Well, but the thing is, it's not. Bruce Jenner never got any scholarships or gifts handed to him because he was a woman when he wasn't a woman at the time. Even if he had claimed he identified as a woman and that's why he was receiving gifts as a woman. Like
that is, I was going to say, I could make the argument that he is going to make a lot of money off of this. In fact, I'm fairly certain they have a reality show now based on him becoming a woman.
Didn't his Twitter profile, within the first day of making his Twitter profile as a woman, a brand new Twitter profile, didn't it have like the #1 like followers or something like that?
It probably did. There's no doubt in my mind. However, with Bruce Jenner, I feel like he didn't, become a woman specifically to gain this financial advantage. So there definitely is a difference between the two, because I do kind of feel like she sort of abused,
abused the system that was
or
set
not
up
even a
for her.
privilege, but yeah, abused the system.
Yeah.
Right.
And like I said, I don't have a problem if she was like, I didn't tell anybody I was black, but they gave me money. I just didn't correct them. Hey, you know what? I'm okay with that. But when you just spin in the truth the way that you did on your interviews, just like this lady, like, oh, thousands of voices are irrelevant. Yeah, and millions would have been irrelevant if it went the other way, as you said. I don't. It's such a weird.
It's. Nobody feels guilty for stuff like that anymore. I don't feel like we have all this stuff that goes on, and reality TV almost like rewards these crazy people for doing crazy things.
Well, and even if it's not reality TV, just the nation's going to reward these people. Like, these people are getting. She's going to be having so many TV interviews and things like that. Not the lady from the interview with the Gay Pride Parade, but the one with the black scholarships or whatever. She's getting so many TV interviews. She's getting so much fame and popularity off of what she did.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're going to reward her essentially, even though she's not getting these scholarships she was getting. She's super famous now. And watch for her reality TV show to come out here pretty soon. I haven't heard for sure she's making one, but would that shock you if tomorrow you saw a preview for her reality show? No. Not for a
Young black woman growing up in a predominantly white neighborhood. The trials and tribulations. Oh, wait, she's white as well.
We watch these completely insane shows, and they get these TV ratings that I don't understand for the life of me.
And then shows like Redneck Island get no respect. I mean, damn it, no respect for the Redneck Island.
So,
but in honor of, before we go forward, since you can't see it, in honor of the Supreme Court decision, our background behind our images, we have the Gay Pride Parade, or the Gay Pride flag up behind.
Good job, Supreme Court, getting it right. About time, by the way. So I have a couple quick thank yous. I have Joe, or JC Green, sent us another overlay for our show, which today, since Mark isn't here, we couldn't.
Yeah, unfortunately the overlays don't work when there's only two of us.
Right, because there's only two of us. So thank you very much for that, Joe. We appreciate it.
So we got a second overlay to use. Sweet. We can switch between them.
Yeah, we'll alternate here back and forth. We also have a question, and this is something I wish Mark was here for, because I feel like he'd have a pretty strong stance on this as well. But this is from Max Castles. He says, hey, fellas, since you guys worked at McDonald's, I thought it would be good to ask you how you felt about fast food workers demanding $15 an hour. Also, how do you feel about McDonald's responding by installing automated stations to replace workers? Anyway, have a good one, Mighty Max.
So I like those questions. I think they're good questions. As a look behind the scenes at the podcast that people don't know about, we had previously done an episode related to fast food wages and the minimum wage before we actually had the format of what we were going to do down. Like this, so this is over a year in the making. We said like this is basically our year anniversary. This is over a year ago we did this before we'd released a single episode, and that episode never saw the light of day because it just didn't fit in with what we actually tried to do. But we can talk about it in this format, and it'll fit in perfectly fine.
Right. Yeah, it should be fine. And like I said, I wish Mark was here because I know he has a take on this for sure. So as far as fast food workers demanding $15 an hour, you know, I remember the first time we had this conversation, like I almost felt like I was going to come off as the big jerk of the podcast because I feel like $15 an hour for a fast food worker is kind of insane. You know, you got tons of people who work their butts off to get college degrees and, you know, do all these things in life. And some of those people are having trouble right now making $15 an hour at jobs, well, I mean, look, you know, Jeff, you know, you had this computer science degree and couldn't do anything with it. So you had to go back to school because you couldn't find a job.
I did. I worked at McDonald's for 2 years while obtaining my master's degree because I couldn't get a job with a computer engineering degree. Somehow engineers just weren't in need.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, I feel like if you want to make $15 an hour at McDonald's, you know, it's not that hard to become a manager and to advance in McDonald's.
Well, so and it's weird too because what I do, you know, the nursing and then the firefighting on the side, firefighting EMT stuff, a lot of the people at the fire department, they're volunteers or they're live-ins or whatnot, and their job is actually to be an EMT at a private company. And they make between $14 to $17 an hour as an EMT. And they're out saving lives.
That's way more important.
And but at the same time, is that saying that they're getting paid fairly? And if it's you're comparing fast food to that, but neither of them are actually getting paid fairly, there's a different story. If you just want to compare it to the way things are getting paid now, though, that's where the question comes in. I think we all agree probably that the minimum wage needs to raise.
Yeah, I think so.
But substantially,
$15.
the $15 an hour is huge for the work. I think
it's gonna cause inflation in all other areas. You know, it's not like you're gonna start making $15 at McDonald's and your groceries and your, you know, apartment rent and all this stuff is gonna stay the same because it's not. Believe me when I tell you, it's gonna go up. And so it's not like you're gonna be better off at that point. You're just going to be paying more for the things you have.
Well, and then you got to think about the flip side. It sounds like we're like, I can understand there's people out there that are going to be like, these cold, callous bastards don't want people to live up to the, you know, the living wage and this, that, the other. But it's a big trickle effect that you have to see that if you arbitrarily raise it, because that's over doubling it, wouldn't it be? Because isn't it minimum wage like 7 something now?
Yeah. I'm really not sure, but I think it is 7 something.
I mean, if it was like 12 now, and you were like, we should raise it to 15, I could maybe back that up. When you're over doubling the minimum wage and thinking that it's what you need to do to get people up to the living wage because the living wage really is that high. Okay, we messed up in the back end and we didn't go up fast enough. But the thing is, think about it this way: you raise it to $15 an hour. Everything else goes up because it costs a lot of money. The person who's currently making $20 an hour all of a sudden realizes they didn't get a raise because they were above that cap. So now all of a sudden their margins to the people below them is that much smaller. They now can't afford the increase in the food costs that just all went in. So they have to go get a second job at McDonald's, and they just took your job that you were trying to so much get at a higher raise. You don't have a job at all anymore because this other guy's taking it because he's more qualified and needed more money.
And then, by the way, the Occupy Wall Street movement that talked about the 99% versus the 1%, at that point, all these people making $20 an hour or $25, $30 an hour then become, you know, way closer to, you know, poor than middle class. Like, when you talk about wanting to make the middle class a bigger subsection of people, and you know, there's been a lot of screaming going on about that recently, you're effectively doing the exact opposite and putting more people in that bottom percentage and creating a greater distribution of wealth to the upper percent.
So, do I want people at McDonald's working there to make $15 an hour, or would I have wanted to when I was there? Of course. Do I think I earned? Shall I earned that much money? No.
I know what we did at McDonald's.
Well, and it's okay to have fun at your job if that's what it is, but knowing what I know now and seeing other professions, like an EMT, for example, that gets paid that much or less, there's such a difference in... I can't back that up right now. I think it should have raised the minimum wages. It should have been increasing throughout the time frame.
I think we both agree with that.
It just, I don't know if you can go back.
But the $15 an hour is, it's a little much.
Right. In regards to the automated machines, I love it. I love it because not from a perspective of you're taking away people's jobs, but from the perspective of customer satisfaction and customer convenience. You know that our franchise, Mike, I don't know if you know this or not, they implemented some of the automated machines back in 1999 or something like that, 2000 maybe, at the Miller Road location.
Okay.
Customers couldn't understand it. They took them out after like a month. They did a pilot. They couldn't do it. They took them out for a month. And I was like, how can people not understand this stuff? Now you got places like Sheetz and Wawa and all that stuff that you don't have in Michigan. But they're pretty much convenience stores where the whole way you order, you have to do it from a computer screen. And your food comes out.
Well, and with anything like that, we've talked about roundabouts, I believe, on this podcast. Did that make air?
Yes. Yes, it did.
Okay. So we've talked about that before, and I know I said on that podcast that when you're kind of like the, beta version or alpha version of that experiment, yeah, it sucks for a while. And people don't get it, and, it causes accidents and problems and slowdowns, and it's a mess. Technology is exactly the same. The first McDonald's that puts that automated system in, yeah, nobody gets it. But when that system has been implemented in fairly wide distribution across the country and has been implemented for 10, 15 years, then guess what? People know it, and it makes things faster and more convenient. And you never want to be the first generation of that testing in anything. That goes across life,
New medical technology.
Yeah.
No, I'll wait till the next round.
Right, exactly. Anything that happens in the world, pretty much, you don't want to be in the first wave of it until they get the bugs worked out. But once they do, it's going to simplify life, just like technology does across the board for the most part.
I went to a grocery store a couple years ago, and I walked in, and we got our food, and we got in line to check out. And it was just the old standard old checkout lines, like nothing fancy. Like there was a sign up on the pole, and it said, "Due to overwhelming comments, we have removed our self-checkout lanes to guarantee to you a one-on-one customer experience with a cashier." And I was like, "What?" And this lady that was behind me was reading the sign as well, and I swear to God, I was reading it silently, not out loud, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so glad they got rid of those things. Nobody understood them. They didn't make any sense." And I was like, "What is that? Where am I? Did I go back in time?" Because this was not like it was 2000. I think probably one of the first times I saw one of those. This was 2012, 2013. I mean, I'm not talking long ago.
So, old curmudgeon-y Mike here. I very, very rarely use the self-scan checkout.
Oh, Mike.
Although, in fairness, I would say 80% of the time when I go to the grocery store, it involves buying produce, which the whole typing in the numbers, finding out a thing is a nightmare to me, and it makes my brain hurt. So I always, if I have any kind of produce, I'm definitely going after the human side of that so that they can
it's
just...
it's not even numbers. It's just you put it on the thing and you hit produce and then you're like, tomatoes.
Yes, but if you go... So if you guys don't know, Kroger is like a grocery store chain in Michigan, and I think some surrounding states and stuff. It's not like a huge, like a Walmart size supermarket, but it's pretty good size. So when you go over and buy a tomato, it can be several different kinds. It can be
Right.
a Roma or a Better Boy or all these different kinds.
Right.
It can be organic or just all these different types of tomato. So to find the type of tomato you picked out, you have to scroll through a list of 35 different
I
friggin' tomatoes.
I understand what you're saying. Now, to play devil's advocate with that one, Mike,
Okay.
how many of those cashiers do you think can glance at your tomato and be like, "Oh, that's the organic Roma"? I'll get that typed in there. They're just putting in whatever the hell comes to their mind.
And that's fine.
It's out of sight, out of
Because-
mind for you.
Well, you know what? It saves my brain. So, so when I go through the self checkout and I put it on there and it says tomato and I have a million options, like I find myself thinking, all right, what kind of stupid tomato was this? Was it organic? Was it not? Where did I get it from? What shelf? And it takes so much time and effort out of my life. So if I just go through the normal checkout and let the girl or guy do it and just guess, I'm fine with that. Like, I really am.
I hope that cashiers have to go through like a tomato class and an orange class. And I'm gonna go sit in on the tomato class and just be some random guy there with a pen taking notes. Be like, oh, that's how you know the organics.
Well, and I'd like to think too, they all have the stickers on them. And I like to think that my cashier can just glance at that sticker and know what the sticker means. Because there are different colors and things for different tomatoes. And
If it's the ones with numbers on them, then you could just type in the numbers yourself and save the headache that way.
maybe you could, but I've never taken the time to learn that. And usually I have 2 small children in tow, which makes it even more of a hassle.
I mean, I like self checkout for the convenience factor of quickness. If I have a small amount of things, there is some of the self checkouts though I get really mad at because the line is super long. However, it usually rolls pretty quick.
It rolls quick.
But
yeah.
I always get stuck behind that person right when I'm like about to be there. The one that does it, it's like you that he's got the tomatoes and they're sitting there with them on the scale going, I don't know what to type in. And they're like looking, then they hit the little button and the blinking light. And I don't know why they have a button with a blinking light at these things because that freaking cashier that watches the 4 of them at once is like a foot away from you. You could just be like, hey, I need your assistance. But no, they hit that like need assistance.
You could talk in a normal volume voice, and it would reach their eardrums in no time.
Blinks for a while. They're just like looking around, like, man, when is this person coming? It's because the guy can't. They're so close. It's not even in their peripheral vision. It's like such an acute angle above their head, like they can't see.
Right, they can't even comfortably look at it. It's like if you ever have seen someone win a jackpot on a slot machine at a casino, that starts going off way up at the ceiling. And it would just be so much easier. Hey, come here. You could literally.
Right. What kind of tomatoes are these? Oh, good thing you took that tomato class with the cashiers.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like them sometimes. Like if I'm just there by myself and I don't have any produce, yeah, they're good. But
See, guys, this is what happens when you write us cool questions. Look at the tangent we've gone off to.
yeah, I was gonna say
All started from McDonald's. We're talking about tomatoes.
McDonald's at this point.
Cashiers taking a class about tomatoes. I got you.
We've got classes about tomatoes and.
I mean, if they don't have those classes, maybe we could start a business where we go teach those classes for pay, of course, from these places, and we'll make it part of their standard like training curriculum.
I feel like you probably get pretty good at identifying them if you have to do it all day long, every day.
But they aren't just getting tomatoes through there. So
You
many
get lots of
thousands
tomatoes.
of
I feel
products in a store.
I feel like tomatoes is a pretty popular purchase, though.
True, tomatoes is a popular purchase.
Tomatoes and lettuce, like all the standards. I think you'd be okay.
Lettuce is pretty easy. Romaine, iceberg, in a bag.
However, there's organic everything now, so you have to learn to recognize all that stuff, too.
So the ones that look like they're about to go bad, and it's in much smaller packages, organic.
You're
Gotcha.
right. Hasn't been shot up with hormones. Yeah, you can recognize it. It's the head of lettuce is like this big, like the size of a softball. But anyway, so that in a long roundabout way was Max Castle's question.
Thank you, Max Castles.
Thank you for writing. All right, you said you had something, Jeff.
I do. We already talked about one of them, but something else. So let me ask you something. I heard a statistic on the radio today,
Okay.
and it made me wonder for a minute. And I'm curious what your reaction to the statistic is.
I'm ready to react.
And it said that there's a statistic or a study done that found out that people who were not cynical, in general considered to be not cynical, made $300 more a month than people who were cynical. And it was, talking about how, leading a better life and a happier life and this and that could lead to potentially higher pay based on this statistic. And I was curious what your thought was on that statistic. Do you think it's true?
I do think it's true.
Okay.
I don't think. So the way you worded that, like being less cynical leads you to a better life. I just feel like if you're less cynical, you're more apt to have a better life in the first place. Like, does that make any sense at all?
No, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So, because if you're just generally, not seeing the worst in everything, yeah, you're going to have a better life because you expect better things to happen to you, and therefore it sort of works out that way.
Or you don't expect bad things to happen to you, I guess it would be.
Right, exactly. And usually the people who expect bad things to happen to them find a way to make bad things happen to them. At least that's been my experience for the most part.
So you agree with this, and you could get behind this, statement and this statistic and everything?
I think so. Generally speaking, in my life, the people who are super cynical are not super successful. Like the successful people I know, for the most part, well,
I can get behind that, and I think with the thought process that if you are cynical, you're going to think that nothing ever good is going to happen, so therefore you might not even try as hard. So it's
right,
harder to succeed
right.
without trying hard.
However, I just stumbled upon someone I know in my life. I'm not sure
Very cynical,
how much.
and like the president of the United States. I'm not saying Obama's cynical. I'm just giving a
No, he's
granular
not the
example.
president of the United States. I don't know how much information I want to give about this person actually, but they are very successful. In fact, one of the most successful people I know. And them
I'm not
as
that cynical, Mike.
them as a person, they are kind of cynical. They can hide it really, really well, though. Like if you just meet this person and you're not like on their inside kind of track, you wouldn't know they were cynical.
Okay.
They're very outgoing. They can, BS with anybody and hold a conversation. They're very intelligent. So maybe they're just super good at faking enthusiasm.
Okay.
Maybe that's their gift.
Okay, it could be. It very well could be. So
Maybe that's it.
I look at this, my engineering brain kicks in for a second. And I'm like, okay, I can understand. Somebody who's cynical, usually they don't try as hard. They probably won't make as much money. They won't put themselves out there as much because they assume everything's going to get shot down.
Yeah.
But is it that the cynicism leads to making less money, or that the less money leads to cynicism? People who make less money are a little cynical because of the fact that they feel like they've been given like a bad hand all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't know how this statistic played out. I know what they were trying to imply by the statistic, but is it really that if you're cynical, you'll make less money, or is the statistic come because you make less money, therefore you become cynical?
I don't think so. I think, like, kind of what you said. I think if you get to a point in your life and you still think that everything is horrible with life, then you just expect that and you learn to accept that. So, you're going to be willing to work for less or just accept less out of your life than you would if you expect good things to happen to you. So, as sort of just a baseline experiment, I've already said, just off the top of my head, everyone I can think of who's a quote-unquote successful person that I know of is a pretty positive person, except for the one exception. But like I said, they fake enthusiasm really, really well. In fact, you brought up Obama, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because my wife and I have joked about this person becoming a politician later in life, because they're just that sort of openly, outgoing and friendly to everybody. And he would make a very good politician, probably.
Okay.
So, sort of, let's do an experiment. The people you know who are the most successful people in your life, how do they rate on that scale?
I would agree that most of the successful people aren't cynical. They're almost the opposite of cynical, is that they assume things are going to get handed to them, or they assume that they are going to get these like promotions that they don't even deserve. And I think it's funny because they get to be, and where I'm at in my organization and things like that, I'm a relatively successful person there. So when I look at like my colleagues and all, it's at a higher level than, a lot of the lower level people. And some of the things that you look at are some of the people in those same type of positions are not cynical at all, and they think that they should be the CEO of the company already. Like, they're already super high up, and they're like, well, I should have been the CEO a while ago. I'm going to be getting that job next. Like, that's their attitude. And they're like the laziest people in the world when it actually comes to work. But they have that attitude on the outside. I think, like you said, on the outside, it's a politician-type attitude that gets them far. But then the people I do see that are very cynical and assume nothing good's going to happen, most of them don't go for anything different than what they've already got. So therefore, they're not going to be more successful. They're going to be as successful as they currently are. If that's, whether that's successful or not successful or relatively successful, they're not going to go any higher than where they're at.
Well, and I think successful people too. So I can, I almost feel conceited talking about myself as successful, but
Yeah, I would classify you as successful.
I'm a leader of a department, and all this stuff. I have it pretty good. I can't complain, with life. However, sort of recently, I've had some, I don't know, misgivings about my work, and like, it's just sort of like, I'm still comfortable there. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not on the verge of having a midlife crisis and quitting or anything like that, but I've definitely been exploring other avenues. Just sort of, curious what's out there.
I think everybody should. You don't want to get complacent.
And will I actually pull the trigger and, change jobs at this point in my life with 12 years into the company I'm with? I don't know. It would have to be a pretty good offer, sort of without getting too detailed. Like, I am a department leader, and, I'm in the steel industry, and so I know the production side of things really well. And I've been waiting. I think I've talked about this a little bit on this podcast before, but I've been waiting for quite a while to sort of make a jump into like the front office kind of setting. And it just hasn't came. And it's not because they don't like me as a worker. I'm reassured on a fairly regular basis that I do a good job, this, that, and the other. And, essentially we're waiting for baby boomers to start retiring. But like I said, I've been there 12 years, and I'm just sort of getting tired of waiting. And when you're in the steel industry, steel companies, when you know steel and understand how steel works and how, the whole process of crafting steel into things, like, if you understand that side of it, you're valuable in the industry as a whole. So I've always got my eye on sort of inside sales, because a lot of places will take inside sales people with, 5 or 10 years experience, and I have that. And
so let me ask you this: what is it, besides comfort and besides knowing your company inside and out, what do you gain from staying at your company for the rest of your career?
Well, I think it's a lot what to do with what you just said. Is I know my company inside and out, and I know, like, worst case scenario, if I stayed in my job, for the next whatever, 18 years, which would make my 30, I got a good job. I can't complain about my job.
Are they giving you a retirement?
Yeah, I have a pension, and
you do have a pension.
I have a pension, and I have a 401k.
Okay, well, pension makes it a whole different world. That's what I was trying to get at. I've never worked someplace that I get a pension. I work for 401k, which is my money. Like, I'm fully vested in all my department, my company matching and all that stuff. it goes with me where I go. It's not, if I don't stay with you for 30 years, I don't lose out on anything.
Right, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Is I have a pretty good gig. I get that pension and a 50% company match, 401k. Like good benefits for the most part. Like I really can't complain about that part of it. However, I'm still on the lookout, and I'm always looking. Like you said, I know what my company is, and I know my security here, and I know long term that this company is going to be around because I know the company that owns us, and I know they're going to be around for a long time. Like I know all the ins and outs of the company and my parent company and the sister companies. Like I know all of that. So to just find a job at another steel mill and take an inside sales position, without doing a ton of homework as to the company that owns them, how long they've been in business. Our company's been open since 1927. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. So to do all the legwork and relocate is a scary, proposition. However, I feel like when you're talking about someone who's cynical, they don't even look at those avenues. They're just like, I have it okay. They would never even dream of leaving something comfortable to them because for fear that it's going to, blow up in their face and go horribly wrong.
Do you think cynical people are the reason that McDonald's workers aren't making $15 an hour already? Because they're just like, I don't even want to fight this fight because we'll never win, and therefore they don't have enough support, and then the whole industry crashes down on them.
Well, I don't know. There was a whole thing going on in Flint. I don't know if you saw this.
Was it the fast food walkout?
Yeah, and
I
they were
heard about
blocking
it.
traffic and all this stuff. Like, it was a debacle.
See,
So,
that's not how walkouts and stuff are supposed to work. You don't go disrupt the neighborhood in order to prove your point. You disrupt the business that you're working at. And I don't
Right.
even mean disrupt as in not I guess a walkout would be stopping people from eating there because you're walking out.
but they were being totally disruptive. They were literally standing in the middle of the
Yeah,
road,
see,
blocking
that's-
all traffic. I mean, it's like a riot mentality
Right.
crap going on, and that's typical Flint. But yeah,
Baltimore's
I
got
just
them
feel
beat
like
lately, though.
cynical people aren't looking to improve. Frankly, I think most of the time they're scared, to do something like that, branch out into the unknown. So,
Right. Makes sense. I was just curious on that because I started thinking about the statistic, and I was like, is it because they make less, or is it because they're cynical that they make less money, or because they make less money they became cynical? And I was thinking that you'd have a thought on that, and you did.
yeah, oh yeah, I totally do. I think I might have brought this up on another podcast. Maybe I'm wrong, but there was talk for a while about my company buying a facility in Houston, Texas, and my in-laws are down there. And so at the time when they were talking about it, I told my boss, hey, if we do that, consider me for a position down there. Like, upping and moving to Houston, Texas is, that's a big thing. And I feel like, it goes along the same lines. Like, would a cynical person just be that, up and ready to move, relocate like that with kids and a wife and, this, that, and the other thing? Like, unknown is kind of scary to some people. I know people who work in my shop that have been on the same job and worked it for 35 years. They've never changed jobs, let alone made a bid to climb any kind of corporate ladder. Like, they hired in when they were 20 and they're on the same machine they were running, 35 years ago. I can't fathom that.
They know that machine. They know when that screw comes loose, exactly how to turn it to get it to come back,
Yep.
how many kicks it takes in the right spot to get it to start up in the morning.
And they are good at their job, don't get me wrong. And you know what? What's funny, actually? I was just talking with someone about this the other day. Like, I kind of wonder if there's something to be said for that, because that would drive me completely insane.
Do you think they're more at like zen with themselves than other people
Yes. I wonder about that. If they're just like, they come to work and they do, their shift and they go home, and the rest of their life is just like, whatever. I work to make money to do what I do outside of work, and
Right.
they just don't really think too much of it. You know what I mean?
are? Most
Like,
people are at work every day and their inner monologue is going, I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job. They're in there doing the same thing they've been doing for 35 years, just going.
Just tuned out.
Hey, like,
Right.
just kinda.
Right. And, I'm coming home thinking, oh man, I got to take some classes to try to improve myself and get up in this company. You know what I mean? And they're just like at home enjoying life because they make a paycheck, and just zone out.
Go out to their yacht after work.
Well, I don't think
sail
they-
for a while.
I don't think these guys have yachts.
Well,
But.
you never know. Maybe they do. Maybe they borrowed it from a friend. I don't know.
But I do wonder about that. Like, if I had a little bit less, this sounds like a horrible humble brag, and that's not what I'm trying to do, but if I had like less drive to climb that corporate ladder, like, would I just be more comfortable in life?
So, it's funny you say that because I think drive is a great thing for most people, but there is a point when I think somebody has too much and they try to take on way more than they ever possibly should. Because you will excel over your point. Not everybody does, but I think most people, it's an upward curve to find out exactly what's perfect for you and what suits you and what you're best at. And it goes. And some people just, they just want to drive to the top. They don't care how successful they are at it. They just want to be at the top. And they might fail miserably, but they're going to try to make it to the top. And I don't mean fail miserably getting there. I mean fail miserably when they get there. Like, oh, whoops, I didn't know how to run a
They just
multi-million-dollar
drive too
company.
high. Like, I think there has to be, if you're going to strive to be super good at whatever you're striving to be super good at, I feel like that also comes with sort of a responsibility to kind of realize your own abilities. I've seen, like in my years, in employment, people who have they jump in and they want to excel and they want to, climb the ladder and be better and get promoted and over and over and over again. And that keeps going until they just bite off more than they can chew. And from an outsider's perspective, you can see, they reach this level and you can see that it's taxing on them. Like, all right, they can probably pull this off, but that's where they need to be.
Right.
They should, but they just keep going and go a couple, and it's like, it's going to be a disaster. Like, they're rearranging chairs on the Titanic at that point.
Knowing that it goes down, like
Yeah.
travel back in time from the future, but they still want to make sure those chairs are right.
Right, exactly.
Just real quick out of curiosity, I guess it might not be real quick or not. We'll see. You haven't interviewed for a job in a long time, I'm sure, because you've been in the same company for a while. Have you interviewed a lot of people?
Have I interviewed
Yeah.
a lot of people?
Do you interview people for your department?
Nope.
Okay. Have you ever seen, or what's your thought process on, after an interview that you go to yourself, sending a thank you card?
Okay, so like you said, I haven't interviewed in a really long time. However, I did make a thank you phone call to this company 12 years ago, 11 and a half years ago when I got hired.
Okay. How
I had-
long after your interview?
I think it was 2 days.
Okay.
2 or 3 days. I didn't want to wait too long. I do remember that. And then it was just sort of a, thank you for considering me. Whatever happens, I appreciate you guys talking to me, that sort of thing. So, I don't know if it helped me get hired.
Well,
but,
and why did you do that?
just to, so they always say that, the best thing you can do is make people remember your name.
Right.
So, I thought that might help.
So you said exactly what I was assuming that you would say, is because as a realist, you did it because you thought it might help. It gets your name out there. It makes people know who you are. I get the concept. A lot of people say, oh, it's just standard convention. That's what you're supposed to do. I've never in my life sent a thank you card after an interview. Never once. The closest I've come to sending a thank you card or some type of thank you is if enough times gone by where I'm sending an email, thank you for interviewing me. I'm curious if there's been a decision made on something. You know, it's not just it's not a generic thank you very much. It's literally because I'm asking and needing to know like what's going on with the next steps type of deal. But you have to start it with a formality with a thank you. And I helped interview somebody for technically my boss's position a couple weeks ago, like weeks ago. And I got a thank you card from the person for it today, and she sent one to everybody. It was a panel interview, and she sent one to everybody in the panel interview. And I was just looking at it, and I'm like, I've already submitted my yes or no decision on if I would want this employee hired. It's been like 3 or 4 weeks since then.
Mm-hmm.
Is she doing this because she wants to try to make sure, like, kind of get the wheels turning again to go in her favor to try to get us to say yes? If so, why did she wait so long to send these cards around? Or is she really one of those people who thinks that you're just supposed to say thank you to people for interviewing them? Because thank yous in general, I am very much against on the standard convention. If I come to your wedding, which I went to your wedding. I don't remember if I got one or not. I refuse to sign the guest book with my real address because I will leave a blank address or make something like, if somebody like makes sure I put an address in there, I put something obvious that you're not going to send something to, like 0000 Fake Street or something like that, you know? Because I don't believe somebody should be thanking me for going to their wedding. I went to the wedding because I wanted to support you in getting married and doing your thing. The one reason I do see thank you cards as a good thing is if you randomly sent me a gift or you sent me a gift for something, I should thank you for that gift, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the standard concept of the whole need to have thank yous going out there for things, I cannot back up.
Yeah, I couldn't. So I would never have just sent a thank you card to a company for interviewing me because I think they deserve a thank you. Like, you know, the whole point of business when you're interviewing people is because you need these people to make you money, essentially. You know, that's what it comes down to. So if I get hired in your company, it's not like you're just doing me a huge favor by hiring me. You know, you're looking to put money in your own pocket by hiring me. So it's sort of like, I just sort of feel like it's of mutual benefit. Now,
You should send me a thank you card for coming in and interviewing at your company because you wanted to exploit my skills for your gain.
however, my thank you call, I feel like if my resume is in there and I've interviewed with, you know, 10, 15 other people, 20 other people, whatever the case may be, and my resume and my interview read like somebody else's, you know, fairly similar, if I make that phone call, it might make them look at it again and, you know, at least remember who I am, sort of situation. So
Yeah, you know somebody who goes to the extreme with that? You know Scott, my buddy Scott.
yeah.
He told me he used to send flowers after interviews or applications. And he's gotten the jobs for everyone he's done that to or gotten accepted to whatever program it was he was applying for.
So, so now that flowers are weird. I'm not. There's no way I can sugarcoat flowers, but
Send him a puppy?
no. I was just gonna say. I suppose maybe there could be a situation where, like, if somehow you landed upon like an interviewer's like obsession or, you know, like one of their hobbies or something like that, like I guess you could maybe, I don't even, maybe that would even read
Oh,
like
you collect
try-
model trains. Here's the
Yeah.
99-cent one I picked up at the store down the street.
or if somehow, you know, you stumbled upon like a mutual love of comic books or something during an interview. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, but I don't know if I'm interviewing somebody and they send me comic books or something. That might be. Flowers are weird. Like, all right, I don't know how this ever helped him. And I was
Because it
trying
got
to-
his name out there. Oh, you're not talking to Scott, you're talking to somebody else.
No, I was talking about Scott. That's weird.
Because like you said, it got people to remember his name.
Yeah, but
It wasn't, but you got to remember, like, I think you might be thinking about it in the way of, like, that he sent it to, like, a male interviewer as well. I believe they were female interviewers. It's not like he sent flowers to another man. He just sent a thank you flowers, not roses, not like long stem roses, but some of those just like daylight bouquet, type of things. A little baby's breath in there.
So I was trying to think of a scenario where that would be okay.
If she was really hot.
Even then, don't you come off like a stalker or something?
But if you don't come off as a stalker,
I guess if he's got hired, he didn't come off.
Yeah,
like
exactly. If you came off as a stalker, you don't get the job. If you get
Just to prove-
hired, she's into you.
So next time I get interviewed, I'm definitely sending flowers.
Just take it a step further. Like I said, send him a puppy.
Right. Weird. That's a weird thing that happened there. I can't believe it worked.
Multiple times, from what I've been told.
I feel like if I'm getting gifts from someone I just met and just interviewed, I don't know. That'd be weird. That'd be weird to me. Like I said, I was trying to defend him. Like, if you touched on a topic, you just happened to stumble upon it, something you had in common, and they send you something along those lines. But even then, it's like, I just met you. I don't know. Maybe I'd be like, all right, this guy's really trying to get a job.
Maybe during all of these interviews, it was, I really like lilacs. And he was like, I got just the thing for you. Comic books coming your way.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you could buy my affection. I'm not sure. Listeners, if you want to try.
You can always send gifts in email form to wdwkpodcast@gmail.com.
There you go. There you go. Well, is this a show?
Oh, God, I think so.
I was going to say, I think this is a show.
This is the show. Guys, good job, Supreme Court. We love you for your decision.
Well done.
And other than that, keep it up.
Next episode, hopefully we'll be back with all three of us. We're going to try. We're actually in a pretty tight window, right? Next week.
We're a relatively tight window. Relatively tight. I'm going to be out of town. Guys, you guys know I'm probably at Minecon right now when you're watching this, so
we're gonna try to do another one. It might possibly have to be just Mark and I or something for the episode after this. We'll see.
Don't worry about the future, guys. Worry about
that's
the
right.
present. Worry about the present.
Just send us flowers.
Yes, send us flowers, puppies, maybe some comic books or something. I don't know.
It'll be all good. We got you.
All right, guys. Till next time, wdwkpodcast.com or email us. Get your questions on here, just like Max did. That was his name, right? It was Max?
Max Castles and Joe Green, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot our gift. Maybe we'll use that layout next time we're all together, too.
Yep.
Sweet.
All right, guys.
Peace.
See you later.
Whenever I answer the phone, I'm like, hello.
What pissed you off?
It's a great argument to have.
I love my mom, but I think she's half crazy for doing that.
How dare you?
Do you work with your girlfriend, Mark? Or your wife, Mark?
I keep them separated. Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone, I'm like,
Wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart. Sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
Go.
Therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, but what do we know?